Steelers Nation, how we feeling, baby? Welcome back to another episode of the Texas Steel Podcast. I'm Pierce Trexler, joined as always by my main boy, Drake Greenstein. And you already know we got to tap into some draft talk, all the offseason moves we've been making so far. Drake, how you feeling, bro?
Well, we got some studs in the Steel freaking city, baby.
The stud is an underestimate, man. Each of these draft picks we can go by pick. I mean, really, just for the sheer value that we were able to get these guys, all of these cats that we were projected to get were projected to go 5 to 20 picks ahead of the spot that we were able to get them. I mean,
feels good to have some fresh Steeler news, though.
Most definitely. It was kind of in the dog days, the drought days of the offseason, but thankfully there's no more speculation. I was tired of seeing my millionth rendition of a mock draft. Like, can we just put that season to rest? But thankfully, there's no more speculation. We can kind of jump right into the meat and potatoes of everything. Yeah. The Steelers 2024 draft class has been finalized. Omar Khan does it again. Every offseason under this guy has been quite something spectacular so far. Before I hop into the names, is there anything that you want to tap into before we
get it going? Let's break it down pick by pick.
Bang, bang. All right, first pick in the 2024 draft. This one stunned me personally. Didn't think it was going to be the pick. I was celebrating a wedding this weekend, so I wasn't able to be honed in and as on the clock as I wish I could have been. But Troy Fautanu, crazy pick for the value. A lot of people,
grew up a Steeler fan.
Yes, grew up a Steeler fan, so he knows what it means to bleed the black and gold. But a lot of people had projected him to go like 10 to 12, top 10 to 12 picks in the first round. That's why a lot of mock drafts didn't even have him falling to us. But supposedly this was Omar Khan's guy, and he had been like, I was waiting, and each pick that went down, those were the longest 10 minutes of his life. His words, not mine. But how you feel on Troy?
Well, so here's what was going on. I had my boys over. Unfortunately, Pierce couldn't make it to the draft party last week. But it was insane because you had 6 quarterbacks taken in the first round, and it was projected.
Helped us.
Yes, it was helping us because every time, like, Bo Nix suddenly came in the first round, and me, like, I just let out this huge sigh of relief because that just means one extra skill player that's now falling back in the draft. And then Michael Penix, shout out the Falcons, bro. They don't know what they're doing over there. No. But then you saw quarterback after quarterback being taken. It was like a quarterback and offensive line draft in the first round because there were so many tackles taken. But going in, in our draft preview, we didn't even have the idea of Troy Fautanu dropping to this point in the draft. So I didn't even put him on the mock list for us because I was putting like Amarius Mims, who fell 1 pick before us. But to get like you said, a top 15 player. Whew. Oh, I love it. Worshipped Troy Polamalu growing up. Wore number 43 until he couldn't.
Did you see that Troy actually called him the day he was a Steeler, or like day it happened, and like they had a conversation? I don't know if they met up in person, but I know that Polamalu's already reached out, started building the bond, and it's just great to see that when Steelers legends are putting in the praise and the early steps to like greet these cats, like that's how you know you did something special in your draft. Troy, welcome to Pittsburgh, man. Super excited to have you. I think, as we knew and alluded to in our previous videos, we need to beef up the hogs in the trenches, and looks like we did just so. Continuing into the second round, pick 51 overall, we get the boy Zach Frazier out of WVU, center. Obviously, this was the biggest glaring need in the locker room and the team, and thankfully we're still able to snag one of these top 3 guys between him, Barton, and JPJ.
I can't believe he dropped.
I thought if we wouldn't be able, I know this is funny. When we were on this pick, folks, Adonai Mitchell was still on the board, and we were just itching. Obviously, even still currently where we stand, the Steelers need a receiver. But we were obviously Texas fans. We were FaceTiming for that. I was actually at a rehearsal dinner, but I was like, boy, if we can pull this out and get it happen. Obviously, we both knew in our subconscious center is the right call. It's the pick that needs to be made. But we are riding our hearts, riding our emotions. We are hoping for Adonai. But we roll with Zach Frazier, not to say that we're disappointed with that. Obviously, we're electric. He's probably the second best center coming out of this draft. Potentially first even. Maybe the best. But obviously, we're a little upset not getting Adonai. But how you feeling on Zach?
No, yeah, it was bittersweet. Obviously, when your favorite college team, you want to see like your favorite college player to your favorite pro team. But like you said, we knew center was the biggest glaring need. Can't have Mason Cole throwing snaps to the ground anymore. Like, let's just be real.
No shot.
And ultimately, even like last year when we picked Broderick Jones, it's not like the sexy pick that makes like the whole fan base go crazy. But ultimately, what happened when Broderick Jones was drafted and put in the starting lineup?
Instant switch.
Yes, every run game, every run play to his side, you start seeing glaring holes. It's like parting like the Red Sea, and Najee finally has a hole to run through. So the fact that the Steelers have invested so much on two, like I feel like there wasn't much risk in these picks. These are proven guys, and sure. I think these are guys that could start day one on the team.
Agreed. And I hope that Steelers. Sorry to cut you off, but in our past, I hope we're not stubborn to not let them start. Like we didn't let Broderick start last year, bro. And then we didn't let JPJ start last year, bro. And we saw as soon as their cleats touched the grass, progression, production, like they were giving us signs of life. But no, definitely not the sexiest overall pick. But boy, you talk practical and you talk longevity. And again, just one thing quickly touching on O-line, like when you hear from these great O-lines, it's like they've been guys that have been able to come in and develop together, not a plug and play, fix the whole, like if 4 or 5 dudes can just chill and grow together and like continue to progress. And that's where I think Kevin
Colbert
he fucked us, man.
Yeah,
he fucked us. No, and again, just real quick, I know we got more draft picks to talk about. Actually, I'll wait, but there's Kevin Colbert, Omar Khan, he's seeming to try to clear all that Colbert did, hence getting out some of his players.
Yeah, because all that Kevin Colbert did was plug and play. He was like, well, Ben's still, functionable, so like let's just keep some temporary guys, but we never fully invested and reconstructed after like the Marquise Pouncey, David DeCastro, like all of those guys.
One of the best O-lines of our history.
That was an incredible O-line. But now that you say that, it's kind of ironic that you bring that up because I feel like this set of guys, like the Broderick Jones, Troy, Zach Frazier, who else is on that? Those 3 guys, that's a great core.
Daniel.
I feel like, James Daniels, that like O-line is gonna like be like that David DeCastro.
It's gonna be a problem. It's gonna be a problem.
Yes.
We got to start thinking of some nicknames just because I know last year the O-line, well, they didn't even deserve a nickname, but they got the picket fence. Maybe we'll see how this can evolve. Obviously, none of those can't come back. But like I was saying, man, it's just good to see guys grow together because that group that you just listed out, our old O-line, they were playing together for 5-6 years. Like, and that's how you build relationships. That's how you make the runs. That's how you build a chemistry and confidence in each other. Zach Frazier, man, freaking great pick and another great value. Like you said, wasn't really expecting him to still be around at this point in the draft, but super excited we could snag him. But moving on to the 3rd round, man, this one I think we alluded to earlier on the podcast, but Roman Wilson, pick 84, third pick.
We called it here first, folks.
Let's go. You know this guy's gritty. You know this guy's going to be no emotions or anything. He's just, you want him to go out and block for 10 plays in a row. He's going to go out and block for 10 plays in a row. He's not selfish. He's not whiny. He's not bitchy or complainy. And that's why Tomlin loved him. That's why he brought him in. I think he was in for one of our tail end top 30 visits. But
had
super
a sick
excited
catch in the pro day. Not the pro day, the like when all those schools are from everywhere were playing. I guess it is not the pro day, but the
I know what you're saying.
The thing in Birmingham, Alabama, where they play.
But out of Michigan, obviously he knows championship football. Been there in the big moments in college. I hope to see that can translate over into the NFL. But Roman Wilson, bro, how you feeling on it?
I love it. I mean, it's definitely, you got like your tall, stocky, like athletic receiver in George Pickens. Now you got more of a shifty guy that is, maybe known for speed and route running. So I love it. Got great hands.
Totally.
Made a huge impact at Michigan. Obviously, I still think the wide receiver room is something to keep an eye on because
we can't put the pressure for him to be a definitive 2 as a rookie. I don't like that.
Exactly.
Right.
But ultimately, I'm excited about it because receivers, you can find receivers in later rounds. So, despite my desire to get a A.D. Mitchell, you see guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown drafted way behind all these guys. But, ultimately, he's the guy that's like putting up like still number producing. 1 in the league in receiving yards. Yeah. So
AB 6th-round draft pick.
The same thing with running backs. Like running backs can fall. Like you can live to fight another day with that. So ultimately, I'm super happy. But we are like one George Pickens injury away from like
being the worst wide receiver. Class in the league.
From like who's gonna step up? Quez Watkins, and no offense, brother, but like. It's just that's kind of the reality of how it is. So
didn't even think of that. That's a scary reality. Yeah. That's why we obviously need to address. And this was the only receiver we pulled in this draft class, which I know people might have thought in our 4th-round pick we could have maybe not overkilled the O-line. We'll get there down the road. But Roman Wilson, I think, great addition. Yeah. Think he'll be produced and productive immediately. I can see him obviously starting game 1. But thankfully. Shipping Kenny Pickett on out of town got us another 3rd-round pick, and boy, do I feel like this is going to be the biggest fleece in NFL history if it pans out, baby. Because with the 98th pick overall in the 3rd round, we got our guy Payton Wilson out of NC State. But this guy, a little bit of injury clause back in the history, but when he's healthy, arguably he's like the best cat on the field from what I've heard. Man, he just always is producing, hard hitting, flies around the field, super quick. How you feeling on Payton Wilson?
I feel really good because it got the stamp of approval of one of the best linebackers of the 2010 era, Luke Kuechly from the Carolina Panthers. He was going over the draft class, and he's like, man, whoever gets this guy Payton Wilson reminds me of myself. Oof. And I was like,
we know how his career ended out.
Because I'm going to be real. I did not know this guy. I did not know this guy coming into the draft. Then we picked him up, and I was like, oh, an inside linebacker. Haven't had a good one since your boy Shazier.
And it's been rotation, round door carousel.
Yeah,
trying to fill that position.
This explores the option, man. Are we going to get a definitive, like, did they pick this guy for, like, pass packages or, like, run packages? No, maybe we got an all-around guy, man. Like, I'm excited to see what we have out of him, especially a lot of people are like, yeah, he just kind of went under the radar because of injuries. And who else went under the radar because of injuries? George Pickens fell to the 2nd round because he had a torn ACL.
Yeah.
I bet teams are regretting on that. So, Payton Wilson, man, I feel good about that. I mean, 4th round?
Yeah, crazy.
I know everyone
crazy
says...
value.
Every team says, like, oh, we got to steal in this guy. Everyone will say that. But legitimately, I do think we kind of got to steal.
This is the best linebacker in the class.
Yeah,
we got his ass. And
that's what they're saying.
And the 98th pick overall. And this guy, I mean, just paired up alongside Patrick Queen, and then you got the D-line that we already have stacked. Some of the ball hawk players that we got in the backfield. Like, man, this is just, it's not many defensive guys selected in this draft, but we're still going to be scary on that side of the ball.
Yeah.
Payton Wilson, we're happy to have you in Pittsburgh, brother. Hope that you can continue to thrive here. Then moving on, round 4, pick 119 overall, we got Mason McCormick, little jackrabbit fellow. Actually liking
Tackle?
this. It surprised me, honestly, because our first 2 picks overall were addressing the trenches, and I thought, job done. Thank you, Omar, for doing your service. But this just really, I feel like, was Omar Tomlin's way of definitively stepping down and being like,
I was going to say, 10 toes down.
This is our football right here. You want to come stop it? Beat us in the trenches.
Yep.
And again, it's another just... We're not getting fucking bullied anymore because there's so many games that have happened over the past few seasons where it's just we come out flat.
We're not the tougher team.
No, we get fucking out-nosed in the trenches and just those Arizona games or those games that just pop up. The San Fran game last year when we're fucking down 30 to nothing. The Bills playoff game, low key, like we're not gonna get bullied no more, and that's why beefing up the trenches, Mason McCormick, like these are just moves that we're open cards right now. Like we're showing our identity.
On the table. Yeah.
We know that we're going to be a run, ground and pound team, and I love this pick overall. Even though I feel like there might have been better potential out there, I think it's shooting our message and it's giving us depth at the O-line.
I thought we were going to get a corner at this pick, but ultimately, yes, we're going 10 toes down, man. We're saying we are going to be a ground and pound team, and we're going to dare you to stop it. We're going to put Najee or we're going to put Warren back there. And ultimately, we're going to operate off play action, which ultimately that's what we expected with 2 mobile quarterbacks in Russ and Justin Fields. So really couldn't complain. I don't really know. Who else do we have after this?
After this, we got Logan Lee, defensive end out of Iowa. So, again, truthfully, don't know too much about this cat. I'm sure we could talk to our boy Trey, who's a Hawkeye fan, and catch the latest scoop. But Logan Lee, welcome to Pittsburgh, bro. We're excited to have you. And then at the end, rounding off our round 6 pick, from the University of Texas, Hook 'em Horns, baby, Ryan Watts.
There's a reason it's called Texas Steel, baby.
Yes, we are happy to have you. Glad we could snag a Longhorn in this draft, even though it wasn't Adonai or Worthy. But, brother, super happy to have you in town, Ryan Watts. Obviously, playing the back end. This is a position that we're still, obviously, kind of a rotating door at. We don't have really any solidified guys outside of JPJ and Jackson, or Johnson, sorry, but
Johnson,
or Jackson, Dante Jackson.
Oh, Dante Jackson. Well,
Carolina.
We'll see how that pans out. Yeah.
From what I've heard and the tape, he's definitely suitable to be a 2, a 3 guy. But at least happy to have this guy round off our D-back room with just some depth, if that's all that he's going to bring to the table. But moving on to there, I guess we can transition. Hell of a draft. Thank you, Omar, for your services. Truthfully, everyone going into it, like, it's a process, and we just hit a grand slam. So we're thankful for it as Steelers Nation. But moving in, obviously, I feel like there's still a few picks that maybe didn't get addressed. Obviously, I think we still are hoping for a definitive wide receiver, too. Definitely maybe looking to round off that cornerback room if we can get another guy through free agency. What other moves at the moment do you feel like we can still be made? And are there any free agents out there still that you're like, let's go snatch them?
To be honest, I don't think there's many moves left to be made. Every team's going to have some little flaw. Like, there's no, like, perfect roster. But where we're at, honestly, like, I feel good where we're at. Obviously, I know that corner needs to be addressed. But at the moment, I do like how Omar has set up this team to be successful. There is one there. Okay, so there's 2 free agent wide receivers that could potentially catch my eye. First one being Tyler Boyd has not found a deal yet or signed with a team, which I think only gives leverage to the Steelers to be like, okay, your asking price was a little too high. Come to your hometown, maybe a little bit less than what you wanted, but no one else is offering that. And you're coming to a team,
and you're coming, and you will play. Like, you'll be productive here. Like, you'll get plugged right in, because if he were to go somewhere else on a cheap deal, odds are he'd be like a 3-4 guy.
I'm hearing he was visiting the Titans, but, like, why go there? Like, you're okay, maybe you'll get an extra 1 or 2 mil there, but, like, have fun in Nashville.
Try to chase a ring. Like, I don't know.
I'm not trying to chase a playoff spot, like a wild card playoff spot. That's just how I see it. But and then the second one is my buddy texted me, who got released from the Jaguars, Zay Jones.
Ooh.
I mean,
when did that happen? Or
that was like a week or 2 ago. But I mean, that's not a terrible pickup. I mean, like we're saying, we're looking for a wide receiver too. Obviously, like, you know, you saw like Brandon Ayuk and you saw maybe Cortland Sutton. Those are wide receiver 1s that would be playing as wide receiver 2s. But shoot, man, I'll take a definitive wide receiver 2, Zay Jones, who quite frankly was actually playing as the wide receiver 1 in Jacksonville. So I would take either of those. But ultimately, if neither of them are picked up, I'm okay with where the roster's at. I don't foresee any big moves until like July or August, when like you go through preseason.
A little more crunch time.
Yeah, preseason. And you start to see, okay, that is not panning out as we like. So, but the roster's been, I mean, I think you can touch this. It's so well-rounded. Like,
no real glaring holes as far as I'm concerned. And that's the thing that we came out of this draft knowing we need to solidify the O-line. Check. We need to get at least a wide receiver to, like, round off somewhat of the room. Check. We got that. We got our alpha. We got a guy that can compete and push the needle forward for us. And then, obviously, the defense, we're kind of strengthening, getting the linebacker positioning sorted out, bringing in Patrick Queen. Like, you look at each of the main position groups around both sides of the ball, truthfully, and it's like we at least have not a marquee name, but damn near household name for those who know ball at every position. Yeah, so, I mean,
at this point, I feel like a definitive, like, wide receiver 2 is, like, kind of getting greedy at this point, because we've bolstered up all of, like, we've shored up all of the weaknesses. So I don't think there's like a certain thing that you can be like, oh, the Steelers really, they struggle here.
For sure.
Obviously, maybe it could be something down the line, but at the moment, I feel like every GM that would be running this team would be like, no, we've done a pretty good job of building a roster.
Completely. And that's just what I've liked to see. Obviously, I mean, as Steelers fans, it's foreign to us since the past 7-8 years. We've been the laughing stock of the NFL, but everyone across the board, analysts, all of my friends even that are just shooting shit with us, they're saying like Pittsburgh's sneakily having like the best offseason, and they're looking like, let's maybe bite some of the words and the shit that we were talking a few years. Obviously, we probably deserved it then because we were just stuck in our old school ways, but like now that we're coming to terms with the new era NFL, man, people are starting to be like, actually, hold on, look out for Pittsburgh now, which is refreshing because whether I get cross and just blindly like fantasizing as a Steeler fan and thinking, oh, playoffs and like Super Bowl, we really got a shot every year. If I take myself out of the driver's seat of fandom and look at the Steelers just as a team, we really have not been living up to that standard. But now it's just refreshing. We're finally actually building and staying up and seeming like we could be a relevant team come January, February football. So excited to see that. Few other names that have been speculating on the wide receiver thing. Obviously, we know the Brandon Ayuk thing had been trending. It's kind of gone radio silence and trended off. But again, like you had touched on, these moves don't need to happen just because the draft is here. Like, I think as we approach July and Brandon Ayuk is still like, bro, I'm literally just not going to play. Like, San Fran is going to have to dish him out at some point, and for probably a better end, we might only have to give up like a second or some shit for him. So who knows? I wouldn't close the door completely on that, although it does seem like it's losing traction. Something that seemed to build and gain traction overnight. I don't know how I missed it, seeing their connection back in Seattle, but DK Metcalf to Pittsburgh?
Omar Khan has been scoping, bro. Apparently, we have not only reached out to DK Metcalf and Seattle, which they did turn us down, to find out, but also...
that's their guy.
That's their guy. I don't see them moving away. But we also reached out to Denver about trying to get Courtland Sutton, which has also been kind of shut out because Sean Payton thinks that apparently Bo Nix and Courtland Sutton is going to be the next Drew Brees and Michael Thomas.
Of course, he would choose his players that he was coaching to make a comparison to. But yeah, the Courtland Sutton thing obviously had a few little year stint with Russ, maybe built some chemistry. But like you said, those are like definitive one guys that are going to have to like maybe be two alphas in the same room with George Pickens. So I'm kind of agreeing to your point. I wouldn't mind bringing like who we know is a definitive two, and it's like, who knows what Roman Wilson can be. He's a little smaller of a cat, but he can definitely produce to a 3-2 capability guy within the next 2 seasons or so.
That's the tough thing, because, bro, like, if you were to say, like, who's a perfect receiver to complement George Pickens? Bro, low-key, kind of Deontay Johnson, bro. It was a route runner that, like, complemented, like, his play style, because you have, like, a big, like, DeAndre Hopkins type, 50-50 type guy that's athletic, not necessarily known as much for his route running. So you get someone that was speedy in route running. So I'm glad Roman Wilson will hopefully fill that spot adequately.
Hey, I know we mentioned it, I think, in another podcast, but like a sneaky name, Lil Hunter Renfrow, bro. Coming here on a 2-year deal. Just a quick route runner, can not be the most productive, but he'll get you 700 yards a season, 800 maybe.
Slot. Like, maybe more.
So I definitely think, and if we brought him in, he's not going to have a crazy deal because we're going to have some money due here on the offensive side of the ball here shortly. So obviously a receiver is of need. It's all speculation at this point, but when the news drops, we will definitely be here to cover it. But quickly before we get out of here, we've also had a few other things go down. Steelers declined Najee Harris's 5th-year option, as we did decline Justin Fields' 5th-year option as well. How do you feel of that? Do you feel like Omar Khan and the team have a greater plan and this is just the first domino to fall, or do you feel like we're not going to be bringing either of those cats back?
So here's how I see it. I'm personally not surprised with the Justin Fields one at all, because if we were to pick up the 5th-year option, it would have been like it'd have to be a huge deal. No chance that's happening. Especially you haven't seen the field. touched grass once.
And he's not even our starting guy at the moment.
At the moment, yeah. So that one doesn't surprise me. This, like Justin Fields, how I see it, is like the Baker Mayfield experience that the Buccaneers did last year.
Prove it, and we'll pay you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like if Justin comes out and does services the Steelers in a very positive way, then he'll see the deal. The Najee one, I was kind of 50-50 on. We were texting back and forth when the news dropped about Najee. I think that his importance to the Steelers goes beyond of his presence on the field. It's in the locker room. He's a leader. Sets the standard to what we expect. So I think that we can't undervalue that. But I think I was personally just a little shocked. I was like, oh, okay. But I don't think it's like I don't think that the Steelers not picking up his fifth-year option is like basically, oh, this is Najee's last year.
For sure.
But that has to be in the back of your mind.
No, definitely. Yeah. And with the way that the running back market is just gone, like you can find a guy undrafted as we did Jaylen Warren. So it's like the depth there. Not to say that they're plug and play. I don't want to undervalue anything because Najee's the first running back in Steeler history to go back to back 1,000-yard seasons, which don't want to undervalue that. Obviously, we've had some great backs come through this organization. So I think, like you said, the locker room culture, he literally was a captain for a reason, lost the captain patch, so Kenny could maybe step into that last year, but like obviously we knew it fell flat. So I think he means a lot to this locker room. A lot of people respect him, and from what I hear, he's like first in, last out, always staying extra, running up the hills in Latrobe for training camp and shit like that. So
one of Tomlin's favorite players. Definitely. But you have to think though, like as the NFL has changed, like getting
running tread on the tires.
Well, yes, that and running backs in second contracts
deals
have always been not the best omen.
Yeah.
But then on top of that, it's been proven year after year, like Super Bowl winning teams have not really invested in running backs. Like you look at the Chiefs, they got like Jared McKinnon, that number one kid, or like Pacheco in like the 4th or 5th round. You look at other teams, Super Bowl winning teams, mind you, they haven't really invested too much in running backs. Like the LA Rams, like they didn't have really a stout running back out there.
Can't even name who their
I don't even know who the running back was on that Super Bowl winning team.
That's true. But again, I do hear that. I just think with the ground and pound and the way our organization and football is played, obviously, Najee puts his body on the line, and he's never declined. It's only been like relative upward in progression, and he's done this with fucking bottom barrel offensive lines and horrible offensive play callers trying to set him in fucking sweep runs. He's an up the nose north and south runner, and he was not scripted to do that. So it's like, I think with Arthur Smith I wish we could have picked it up just to give him a little bit more time and like breathing room to figure it out. I think
we'll get creative.
Omar Khan has a plan.
If we want Najee in Pittsburgh, we'll find a way.
We'll find a way. I think it's a 2 to 3 year deal, maybe making like 8 to 10 mil a year. Nothing crazy, but it's like, I don't know roughly the running back range, but he's not going to be getting paid no wide receiver one money. Like, I think humble himself to the position, which is shitty to say because he puts his body on the line, but like just come down to what the market value is and be on a legacy run. Don't taint your franchise trying to be a journeyman running back, bouncing from team to team. Like, stick with your roots.
Najee or Warren undrafted, and now he's like, he plays to an RB1,
and he's damn he could be the RB1. He's definitely a little bit more explosive in terms of just that second gear that he has. But again, that pairing together, Jaylen Warren's gonna be, it's thunder and lightning.
I know.
We need to keep that while we have this Super Bowl window open right now, because truthfully, yes, we can go out, but I like these two guys. We literally have the perfect complements of a bruiser and a speedster, and like, I think we can keep it going. I would hope that we can get a year or two contract done. I just don't want this to temperament Najee's mind and be like, well, fuck the Steelers, I got a chip on my shoulder for it now. But we will see where it goes, man. Overall, I think an extremely successful 2024 draft. We established the positions we needed and got a few more things that still need to fall, but we got a lot of months until the season comes around. Any closing remarks before we get out of here?
No, you said it perfectly, brother.
Yeah, well, let's hop into it. You guys stay chilling, and here we go, Steelers. Here we go.